Look closely at this soil. It's dry, compacted, pale, and lifeless. Nothing thrives here. Plants grow slowly, roots stay shallow, leaves turn yellow, and no matter how much fertilizer is added, the results are always disappointing. If this looks familiar to you, then you are exactly where most gardeners start. And more importantly, this is where most gardeners get stuck. Because the truth is, poor soil is one of the most misunderstood problems in gardening, and almost everything we've been taught to do about it makes the situation worse, not better. Most people believe that poor soil is poor because it lacks nutrients, so they try to fix it by feeding plants directly. They add fertilizers, minerals, compost, teas, and all kinds of products, hoping that something will finally work. Sometimes they see a small improvement. Sometimes nothing changes at all. Over time, frustration builds, and gardening starts to feel like a constant fight against nature. But the problem was never a lack of effort. The problem was a misunderstanding of how soil actually works. Plants do not grow in soil. They grow in a living system. And when that system is broken, no amount of fertilizer can fix it. Soil is not just dirt. It is a complex ecosystem made of microorganisms, fungi, insects, organic matter, air, and water. When this ecosystem is healthy, plants thrive almost effortlessly. When it is damaged or exposed, plants struggle no matter what you add. The fastest way to understand why your soil is poor is to look at how exposed it is. Bare soil is dead soil in progress. When soil is left uncovered, it is constantly under attack. Sun bakes it, rain compacts it, wind dries it out, and temperature swings kill the microscopic life that makes fertility possible. Every day, soil remains bare. It loses organic matter. Every week, it becomes harder, less absorbent, and less alive. And yet, leaving soil bare is one of the most common gardening habits in the world. We've been taught that clean soil is good. Soil that neat, exposed beds look healthy and productive. But in nature, healthy soil is never exposed. Forest floors, meadows, and wild ecosystems are always covered. Leaves, grasses, plant residues, and organic debris protect the soil surface at all times. This cover is not waste. It is the engine of soil regeneration. When soil is covered, moisture stays where roots need it. Temperature becomes stable. Microorganisms wake up and multiply. Fungi spread underground, connecting plants to nutrients and water. Earthworms move in, pulling organic matter deeper and creating channels that improve structure and drainage. Over time, soil becomes darker, softer, and richer without being dug, mixed, or forced. The one simple adjustment that changes everything is this: stop leaving your soil bare and start covering it properly. This is not a technique. It is a shift in how you treat the soil itself. Instead of attacking poor soil with tools and products, you protect it and let biology rebuild it. Covering soil may sound too simple to be powerful, but it is one of the fastest ways to improve poor soil because it addresses the root cause of degradation. Bare soil loses life. Covered soil gains life. Everything else in gardening depends on that difference. When you apply a proper soil cover, also known as mulch, you immediately reduce water evaporation. This alone can transform struggling plants in a matter of days, especially in hot or dry climates. But the real transformation happens below the surface. As organic cover breaks down slowly, it becomes food for microorganisms. These organisms convert organic matter into stable nutrients that plants can actually absorb. This process does not happen instantly, but it starts almost immediately. One of the biggest advantages of covering soil is that it allows the soil to heal without constant disturbance. Digging and turning soil exposes delicate microbial networks to air and sunlight, which kills them. When soil is protected and left mostly undisturbed, these networks rebuild themselves. Over time, soil structure improves naturally. Compacted soil loosens. Sandy soil gains water-holding capacity. Clay soil becomes more workable and less sticky. The materials used for covering soil do not need to be expensive or complicated. Leaves, straw, dried grass, clippings, shredded branches, wood chips, and plant residues all work. The key is consistency and thickness. A thin layer does very little. A proper cover should be thick enough to block sunlight from reaching the soil surface. Usually, this means 5 to 10 centimeters of organic material, depending on the type used. Another important detail is placement. Soil covers should protect the ground, not suffocate plant stems. Keep mulch slightly away from the base of plants to avoid excess moisture buildup and rot. This small adjustment prevents common problems while still allowing all the benefits to occur. As weeks pass, something remarkable begins to happen. Soil that once looked pale and lifeless starts to darken. It becomes easier to dig, even without tools. Water penetrates instead of running off. Roots grow deeper and stronger. Plants become more resilient to heat, drought, and pests. And all of this happens without adding fertilizers or constantly working the soil. Many gardeners are surprised to learn that weeds also decrease when soil is covered. Most weed seeds need light to germinate. A thick soil cover blocks that light and dramatically reduces weed pressure. This means less maintenance, less stress, and more time enjoying the garden instead of fighting it. One of the most overlooked benefits of covering soil is how it changes the gardener's role. Instead of controlling every variable, you'll begin to cooperate with natural processes. You stop forcing results and start creating conditions. And when conditions are right, results follow naturally. Poor soil does not need to be fixed aggressively. It needs to be protected patiently. This approach may feel slow at first, especially if you are used to instant solutions. But in reality, it is one of the fastest paths to long-term fertility because it builds something permanent instead of temporary. Chemical fertilizers often create quick growth followed by decline because they feed plants directly but ignore soil life. Soil cover feeds the system that feeds the plants. This is why improvements from covering soil last longer and compound over time. It is also important to understand that soil improvement is not linear. At first, changes may seem subtle, but once biological activity reaches a certain threshold, progress accelerates. Suddenly, plants respond better, yields increase, and problems decrease. This is when gardeners realize that the soil itself has changed, not just the plants growing in it. Another powerful aspect of this adjustment is that it works in almost any environment. Whether your soil is sandy, cleavy, compacted, depleted, or eroded, covering it starts the same recovery process. The materials may vary, and the timeline may differ, but the principle remains universal. Some gardeners worry that covering soil will attract pests or cause problems. In healthy systems, this is rarely an issue. Predators balance populations, and strong plants resist damage better than weak ones. Most pest outbreaks are symptoms of imbalance, not causes. By restoring soil health, many common garden problems resolve themselves naturally. The key to success is consistency. Covering soil once and then removing it defeats the purpose. Soil should be protected year-round, even when nothing is growing. Off-seasons are when soil is most vulnerable, and protection during these periods makes an enormous difference. Over time, you may notice that your need for external inputs decreases. Less fertilizer, less water, less effort. This is not because you are doing less gardening, but because the system is doing more work for you. Healthy soil is it stores water during wet periods and releases it during dry ones. It buffers nutrients, preventing excesses and deficiencies. It supports diverse life forms that contribute to plant health. All of this starts with one simple decision: never leave soil bare. This adjustment may feel almost too basic, but it represents a fundamental shift in perspective. Gardening stops being about controlling nature and starts being about supporting it. Instead of asking what to add next, you begin asking what the soil needs to stay alive. When you protect soil, you are not just improving this season's garden. You are building fertility that carries forward year after year. Each layer of organic cover adds to the soil's memory, making it richer, more resilient, and more productive over time. The difference between struggling gardens and thriving ones is often not knowledge, tools, or effort. It is whether the soil is treated as a living system or an inert medium. Once you understand this, everything else becomes simpler. Improving poor soil does not require complicated formulas or expensive products. It requires respect for the processes that have built fertile land for thousands of years. Nature already knows how to regenerate soil. Your job is to stop getting in the way and start supporting that process. If there is one lesson to take from this, it is this. Soil does not need to be constantly worked to become fertile. It needs to be consistently protected. That single adjustment changes everything. When you walk through your garden and see covered soil, you are not looking at mess or neglect. You are looking at a system in recovery. Beneath that layer, life is returning. And when life returns to the soil, abundance follows. This is how poor soil improves fast. Not through force. Not through excess, but through protection, patience, and one simple adjustment that allows nature to do what it has always done best.